Imagine you're trying to find something important online. Maybe it's the best climate change policies out there, or maybe, you're just looking for the best travel credit card. Not that long ago, doing that search meant, well, a lot of mental effort. You'd be sifting through websites, comparing things.
Trying to figure out what's credible, what's just noise.
No.
Yeah, it was a real cognitive load.
A digital treasure hunt, almost. It took ages.
And that whole process, that's basically what defined the attention economy for years. Your time, your focus, your clicks. Those are the valuable things everyone was fighting for.
But that's really starting to shift, isn't it? If you use Google now, you might see those AI-generated summaries, the Search Generative Experience, or SGE.
Right.
So for those climate change proposals, instead of 10 blue links, you might just get a neat summary right at the top.
Exactly. A concise, tailored answer. Often you don't even need to click away. The AI does the heavy lifting, the curation.
It feels like more than just a new feature, though.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's a fundamental reorientation. We're moving away from needing your direct attention, your evaluation, towards AI making more of those judgments for you.
It's a glimpse into a transformed attention economy.
Precisely.
And that's what we're digging into today on the Deep Dive, this idea of the agentic attention economy. It's this new setup where we increasingly delegate our attention to AI agents. So our mission is to explore how this shift is, well, shaking things up, how it impacts political communication, public discourse, democracy itself, even just how we find information.
And we should probably mention the insights we're drawing on today come from several pretty comprehensive research reports. So it's grounded in some solid work.
Good point. Okay, so to understand where we're going, maybe we should quickly revisit where we came from, the Web 2.0 attention economy.
Absolutely. We need that foundation. It was all built on scarcity, right?
Right. Herbert Simon back in, 1971. He nailed it.
Yeah, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Such a prescient observation. Information exploded, but our ability to process it, well, that stayed human-sized.
And the big platforms, Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, they built their empires on that gap.
Exactly. Their whole business model was about capturing and, crucially, monetizing that scarce attention. Every notification, every feed tweak was designed to keep you looking.
And the money followed. Global digital ad revenue hitting something like $1 trillion. It just shows how valuable our attention became.
But that relentless chase for engagement, it had downsides, serious ones.
Yeah, because when you optimize purely for attention, what kind of content wins?
Well, often it's the sensational stuff, the emotionally charged content, the polarizing arguments. They just get stronger reactions, more clicks, more shares.
More engagement.
Right, which leads to that tricky question. What happens when outrage is more profitable than, say, accuracy or nuance?
We saw examples, didn't we? Like Facebook's role in Myanmar with the anti-Rohingya violence back in 2017.
Or think about the COVID-19 pandemic and the flood of anti-vaccine misinformation. That stuff spread like wildfire, partly because it was designed to provoke a strong reaction, grabbing attention.
And that ties into the whole filter bubble idea too, right? Echo chambers.
Definitely. Your feed becomes this personalized space that mostly just shows you things you already agree with. It limits exposure to different views.
Like talking in a room where everyone nods along.
Yeah, and the bigger picture impact. Well, researchers link this directly to increased political polarization, a decline in the quality of public debate, and eroding trust in institutions.
Plus that whole digital sharecropping thing.
Right, where users create all the value, the content, the attention, but the platforms capture most of the profit.
And there's a personal cost too, isn't there? The cognitive toll.
Oh, absolutely. Constant pings, infinite scrolls. It leads to information overload, makes it harder to focus, harder to think deeply and critically.
Which you could argue makes people more susceptible to manipulation, less equipped to deal with complex issues.
Precisely. So understanding that Web 2.0 dynamic,
Yeah.
the good and the bad, is key, because now we're moving into this agentic shift.
Where the judgment moves from human eyes to algorithms.
Through AI agents, yeah.
So what exactly are these AI agents? We hear the term a lot.
Think of them as sophisticated software programs. They're designed to be autonomous, meaning they can handle complex tasks, often involving multiple steps, without constant human guidance.
Okay.
They can perceive their environment digitally. Usually they can reason, make plans, execute actions, and importantly, they learn from feedback. They get better over time.
Like that Google SGE example again. It's not just fetching links. It's understanding, summarizing, presenting.
Exactly. It's acting on your behalf to evaluate and synthesize information. You delegate the task of sifting through those dozens of sites to the agent.
Which brings us to this idea of the intention economy. What's the shift there?
Well, Johnny Penn and Jakub Czertari coined that term. The core idea is that attention is being delegated, so businesses aren't just trying to grab your eyeballs anymore.
They need to influence the agent.
Precisely. They need to convince your AI agent that their product or service is the best choice. And these agents, potentially, can understand your needs, maybe even predict your future desires or vulnerabilities.
Whoa.
And influence you at just the right moment. It's moving beyond just capturing attention to shaping the intention behind a decision, sometimes before you're even fully aware of it.
So advertising changes completely.
Potentially, yeah. The primary audience for ads might become the AI agents themselves. Companies compete for the agent's recommendation, happening behind the scenes.
Like my AI negotiating flight deals with airline AIs.
Kind of. Imagine telling your agent, find the best flight and hotel for Paris next month. It could ping dozens of services simultaneously, compare complex options, and present you with the optimal package. That saves you a massive amount of cognitive effort.
Okay, that sounds convenient. But there has to be a catch, right?
Well, yeah. This shift doesn't magically solve all the problems of the old system. It introduces new ones, new power brokers.
Meaning the companies building these agents, big tech.
Likely, yes. Whoever designs and controls these agents becomes a new kind of gatekeeper. They control the lens through which the agent views the world and makes recommendations.
So transparency becomes a huge issue. And bias.
Absolutely. Who sets the criteria for the agent's choices? Can companies pay for preferential treatment, essentially bribing your agent? The battle for what we see might just move deeper into the code, hidden from view.
Which seems like a good transition to how this impacts something concrete, like search engine optimization, SEO.
Right. SEO was, for years, the art and science of getting seen in the old attention economy.
It was all about keywords, backlinks, structuring your content so you'd rank high on Google's results page, capture those human eyeballs.
And in politics, campaigns absolutely used SEO. They'd optimize for trending terms to get their message out, sometimes, unfortunately, amplifying misleading narratives.
Like the voter fraud claims around the 2020 U.S. election, SEO played a role in how visible those became.
It did. But now, these AI agents, especially in search like SGE, are kind of turning traditional SEO on its head.
Making old strategies obsolete.
Increasingly, yes. It's a major shakeup.
Okay, how so? What are the big changes?
Well, first, it's a shift from keywords to intent. AI agents are much better at understanding natural language. They grasp what you mean, not just the specific words you typed.
So stuffing keywords doesn't work as well.
Less and less. Then there's the rise of zero-click searches.
We mentioned that. The AI gives you the answer directly.
Right. Apparently, something like 60% of Google searches in 2023 didn't result in a click to a website. The answer was right there in the summary or featured snippet.
Wow. So if you're a website owner, just ranking isn't enough. You need to be the answer the AI chooses.
Exactly. You need to optimize for getting into those snippets, providing structured data the AI can easily digest.
Which ties into hyper-personalization too.
It does. Results are increasingly tailored to the individual user's context, history, preferences. So generic content optimized for broad keywords becomes less effective than content addressing very specific needs or questions.
And this must change how we measure success.
Definitely. We're seeing a decline in traditional metrics. Things like raw click-through rates or the number of backlinks, they become less important than the actual quality and relevance of the content as judged by the AI.
Which is where that EEA thing comes in.
Right. EET, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Yeah.
Google's way of saying the AI prioritizes content that demonstrates real credibility.
So it's not just about gaming the system, it's about actually being a trustworthy source with real experience.
That's the goal, yeah. The AI is looking for signals of genuine quality. Does the author have real-world experience? Do they show deep expertise? Does the site have authoritativeness on this topic? Is the information trustworthy?
Okay. And the last piece, agentic attention.
Yeah, agentic attention and agent experience, or AX. This is maybe the biggest shift. Visibility now depends on how well your content is structured for machine understanding.
So not just human readable, but machine readable.
Exactly. High-quality structured data, clear semantic meaning, standardized formats. Basically making your information incredibly easy for an AI to parse, understand, and evaluate. Think of it like building a perfectly organized digital library for the agent.
And the implication is, if your content isn't structured that way.
It could become essentially invisible to AI evaluators.
Yeah.
No matter how good it is for humans, if the agent can't easily process it, it might just get ignored.
That's profound for anyone publishing anything online.
It really is a total paradigm shift.
Okay, let's broaden out again. How does this agentic shift play out in the wider public sphere? It sounds like it could be, well, a double-edged sword.
That's a very good way to put it. On the one hand, AI agents could absolutely reinforce some of the negative trends we already worry about. Well, think about automated influence operations. AI makes it incredibly cheap and easy to generate vast amounts of tailored content. Researchers talk about malicious AI swarms.
Yeah, swarms.
Yeah, networks of AI agents designed to infiltrate online communities, maybe posing as real users, amplifying specific narratives, suppressing others, all done covertly and at scale. Imagine thousands of fake grassroots voices.
That sounds dystopian. And it connects to deepfakes and disinformation, surely.
Absolutely. Producing convincing fake text, images, audio, even video is getting easier all the time. We've already seen early examples pop up in elections.
Like those fake Biden robocalls in the New Hampshire primary.
Exactly. Or AI-generated images showing politicians in misleading contexts, or even entirely fake news outlets being spun up using AI, as seen in elections in Taiwan and India recently.
And these tactics work because they exploit the old attention economy's weakness, right? Shocking stuff gets clicks.
Precisely. The potential consequences. You could see a fabricated grassroots consensus, a further fragmentation of shared reality, and just a deeper erosion of trust in everything.
A bleak picture. But you said double-edged sword. Is there an upside?
There is potential, yes. AI could also be used defensively as attention shields.
Shields.
Imagine your personal AI agent acting as a filter. You could instruct it to screen your incoming information, flag potentially manipulative content, maybe even provide real-time fact checks, like an ever-vigilant moderator working just for you.
That could be powerful.
And there's potential for facilitating constructive dialogue. We're seeing AI used in large-scale deliberation platforms, tools like Polis or some UN initiatives.
How does AI help there?
It can help moderate discussions at scale, translate between languages in real time, identify areas of consensus and disagreement, and summarize complex conversations. It can make global dialogue much more feasible and civil.
Interesting. Any other potential benefits?
Well, there's the idea of reduced communication friction, especially between citizens and government or services.
Through agent-to-agent interactions, A2A.
Exactly. Your agent could interact directly with a government service agent to handle bureaucratic tasks, schedule appointments, access information, potentially making public services more efficient and accessible. It could even bypass some traditional intermediary platforms.
So lots of potential, but also significant risks, which brings us to the big questions about democracy and, well, us, human agency.
Right. A major implication is that as AI-generated content explodes, trust becomes the truly scarce commodity.
Yeah.
How do we verify anything? The danger is falling into this kind of everything is manipulation cynicism.
We'll need new ways to authenticate information, new norms.
Definitely. And then there's agenda setting. If everyone's information diet's hyper-personalized by their agent, do we lose a sense of a common public agenda, a shared reality?
It could fragment us further into tiny microspheres.
Potentially. Although you could also imagine agents being configured to ensure exposure to diverse perspectives. It's about how they're designed and regulated. Finding that balance is key.
What about politics? Political campaigning must be changing rapidly.
Oh, massively. AI enables hyper-personalized persuasion on an unprecedented scale. Imagine AI chatbots answering individual voter questions, tailoring policy explanations to specific concerns.
Delivered in millions of private, AI-mediated chats.
Exactly. That could increase engagement, maybe, but it also makes scrutinizing political messaging much harder. How do you track or rebut arguments happening in millions of private conversations?
Is there a countermove?
Perhaps. Some proposed defensive AI agents, maybe fielded by civil society groups or fact-checkers, that could engage with these campaign bots, providing counter-arguments or context in real time, an AI arms race of sorts.
This all leads to a really fundamental question about human agency itself, doesn't it? This reliance on AI for filtering and processing information.
It does. There's a real concern about cognitive offloading. Are we de-skilling ourselves? Losing essential abilities like critical thinking, analysis, even just focused attention, because we're letting the agents do it.
The argument is it frees us up for higher-level thinking.
That's the promise. But the risk is passivity. Or worse, eroding our attentional agency, our actual ability to decide for ourselves what deserves our focus, rather than just accepting the agent's recommendations.
And this won't impact everyone equally, will it? Global inequalities seem relevant here.
Hugely relevant. Wealthier populations, wealthier nations might get sophisticated AI tools to manage attention and filter noise, but regions with lower digital literacy or fewer resources could just be flooded with unfilterable AI-generated content, potentially worsening existing misinformation problems.
And authoritarian states could leverage these tools too.
Absolutely. For sophisticated influence operations targeting other countries, exploiting more open information environments.
So the takeaway seems to be the future isn't set in stone here.
Not at all. The outcome really hinges on choices. Policy choices, technical safeguards, public awareness, and education. It's about actively shaping this technology towards supporting an informed, pluralistic public sphere, rather than letting it amplify division and manipulation.
We're standing at a crossroads then. Moving from the Web 2.0 attention economy we knew
Warts and all.
into this new agentic paradigm.
And it could go two ways, right? It could genuinely help us manage information overload, filtering the noise, delivering what we need.
Or it could make things worse. Create new, maybe more insidious ways to manipulate us.
That intention economy concept is the warning sign there. It's not just about distracting us anymore. It might be about subtly programming our assistants, guiding our choices without us even realizing it.
This battle between manipulative AI and defensive AI, that seems like it'll be a defining struggle.
For the next few years, definitely.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. This landscape forces us to update what media literacy even means.
It's not just about spotting a fake photo anymore.
Right. It's about critically evaluating the output of your own tools. Understanding the potential biases in your AI assistant. Asking, is this agent really serving my autonomy, or is it amplifying someone else's agenda?
How do you make sure your assistant stays an assistant, not something else?
A really crucial question for all of us navigating this.
And just as a final note, maybe a slightly humorous one.
Go on.
It's perhaps fitting that the three deep research reports that form the basis for our conversation today, they were themselves compiled and summarized with the help of AI agents.
Full circle then. Makes you think, doesn't it?